Okay, so today I would like to talk about a film called Densha Otoko, or Train Man in English. It's a Japanese film from 2005, directed by Shosuke Murakami. It stars Takayuki Yamada as the eponymous lead character, and Miki Nakatani as Hermes. I first saw this movie, it was a couple of years ago. It was recommended to me by my brother, and I rented it through Netflix. I had no idea what the movie was going in. I was pleasantly surprised, though. The one word that I think that really exemplifies this movie is sweet. I think it really appeals to the romantic within. Train Man is easily one of my favorite foreign films and definitely my favorite Japanese film that's live action. Movie centers around a 22-year-old boy, a socially inept geek who sort of coasts through life without much expectation from it. Until one day he's taking a train home and there happens to be a belligerent drunk that's harassing a woman. The boy, Train Man, as he's called in the story, he timidly stands up to the drunkard and unwittingly ends up saving the day. In gratitude, the woman ends up sending Train Man an expensive tea set through the mail. Train Man, of course, is completely lacking in social ability, so he goes to a chat room and looks for advice. And the people on there are all like, "Whoa, that's a chunk of change. She might be interested." So Train Man awkwardly asks her out to eat. From there on, this friendship starts, and Train Man and the girl, called Hermes, grow to know one another better, and a romance grows from that. Right out of the gate, I absolutely love Train Man's character. He's easy to empathize with, and he's a likable fellow, and you really want him to succeed. Now, supposedly this movie was inspired by a true story. I know there's been some dispute over that. If it isn't, then kudos to the screenwriter, Arisa Kaneko. The awkwardness of Train Man is executed perfectly. Little things he does, little faux pas like walking too far ahead of his date or having to write down what he plans to say before making a phone call. I can totally relate to that. I've done both, and many of the other things that he does in the movie. I think part of what makes him so compelling a character is that he's very unlike the conventional male lead of a romantic comedy, of most movies, really. Train Man is very insecure. He stutters. He's constantly saying sorry and second guessing himself. He's a mess. More importantly, he's a character that's allowed to be vulnerable. In what I would consider to be the best scene of the whole movie, Train Man is struggling to open up to Hermes until she finally takes his hand and says, "Be brave." And when he does get the nerve to tell her how he feels, he ends up breaking down crying through all of it. You rarely see a male character allowed to be vulnerable like this, and when it does happen, it's almost always done in a deprecating kind of way. So I really liked how this movie handles it. His gentleness never comes across as emasculating. That whole scene all around is unique because of the role reversal. When they finally kiss, she's the one that initiates it, actually, not him. There's also a real innocence to their love, particularly in that scene. They kiss, but they aren't sucking face. They hold each other, and it actually lingers on that longer than the kiss itself. It feels more genuine. There's been some criticism leveled at the Hermes character for not being three-dimensional and how she's sort of this idealized, almost angelic companion for Train Man, and there may be some truth to that. I guess the argument could be made that we are seeing her through Train Man's eyes, so any sort of character flaws she may have are sort of diminished in importance. There's a lot of visual and narrative evidence to support that view, I think. I almost forgot about the chat room characters. There's a nurse, a trio of geeks, a couple that are sort of distant, and a grouchy kid with a rabbit. These guys are the ones that help Train Man throughout and sort of get the narrative ball going, so to speak. For the limited amount of time we're given to know them, it works. Because they're invested in Train Man and sort of living vicariously through him, it sort of establishes a commonality between them and us, the viewer. Visually, there's some interesting things to be had here. The chat room conversations are represented by having the text displayed in various creative ways, whether it be scrolled across the scenery or having the geek trio lament their lack of game as they run across the battlefield dodging bombs. Conversations never slow the film down. The score by Takayuki Hattori is simple and memorable. It consists mostly of piano and woodwinds playing a theme that runs throughout the film. The theme itself is amorphous. It conforms to the tone of the scene. It can be romantic, awkward, sad, what have you. Again, simple, but it does stay with you. As I said, I absolutely love Densha Otoko. It's definitely worth renting. I even say it's worth owning. I had to go to the Warner Brothers site just to get it for a regular price, so that would be your best bet if you're choosing the buyer's route. I hope you enjoyed this.